Everyone.
Good evening, Ms. James.
Okay, and I'm going to ask
Good
all of
evening.
the panelists. Good evening, everyone. May I ask and request that all panelists share their videos so that everyone can be, of course, enlightened by the vision that you all are, and of course, in general, that we know who we're working with this evening. So it's a little after 7, and it's April 30th. And it is the final day of the month, but HAPA is still in full swing.
Yeah.
Let me welcome you, all of you, and thank you so much for being here with us to the last activity organized by HAPA to raise awareness for autism. And of course, we know that autism is celebrated in the month of April. So, why are we here? This evening, our panel is different. We want to take the focus to our transportation drivers, our bus drivers, our taxi drivers, the people who would interact with the majority of the general public. And it is our hope that through this session, under the theme, Every Ride Matters, we are going to foster a culture of understanding, a culture of patience, and that of empathy among those of you who carry that very special need. That is the need of transport, the need to move from one place to the next to St. Lucian's. HAPA wishes to build autism-friendly transportation, and tonight we begin this dialogue. Our panel, let me introduce them. We have Dr. Delia Samuel. We also have Mr. Lester Justin and Miss Janelle Primus. And let me tell you a little about them and what makes them so special to be part of this evening's discussion. Dr. Delia Samuel serves as the president of the Helen Association for Persons with Autism, HAPA. Her path to founding the organization is deeply personal, beginning with the birth of her two sons, both diagnosed with autism around the age of 3. Through their lives, they have remained her greatest teachers, guiding her along a journey that, while challenging, has also been profoundly meaningful and rewarding. Over the past 2 decades, she has faced many obstacles, yet through resilience and determination, she has continually risen above them. In 2014, after reaching a place of acceptance and clarity of purpose, Dr. Samuel wrote a book recounting her experiences. In it, she offered encouragement to parents and caregivers, emphasizing that even when circumstances feel overwhelming, triumph is possible. This realization inspired her to give back to St. Lucia. In October 2015, she organized the island's first Autism Awareness Conference, an event that marked the beginning of HAPA. Through HAPA, Dr. Samuel is committed to fostering acceptance, promoting inclusion, educating communities, and empowering families to thrive alongside autism. Her work reflects her belief that once seems impossible can, in fact, be achieved. A mathematics professor by profession, Dr. Samuel lives in Minnesota with her sons. In August 2021, she herself was diagnosed with autism adding a new dimension to her journey and advocacy. Everyone, let us welcome Dr. Delia Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Yes.
James.
All right. So, our second panelist is Mr. Lester Justin. Mr. Lester Justin hails from the community of Miku. He has been an educator for over 20 years and he possesses a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. He has also worked at the Viewfort Special Education Center. He worked there for 5 years. He's worked at Viewfort Comprehensive and he is a teacher at the OJ Combined. Additionally, Mr. Justin is a certified taxi driver and he has been associated with the Southern Taxi Association for the past 5 years. Let us welcome Mr. Lester Justin. Okay. And Miss Janelle Primus. As a mother of 2 boys, Liam 4 and Lai 6, her perspective is deeply shaped by her lived experience. Her autism journey started when Lai was 18 months old. And since then, she has been dedicated to advocating for his development and access to support. This journey has strengthened her voice, resilience, and commitment to raising awareness and supporting awareness. Others, sorry. Welcome, Miss Primus. Hi. Okay, I thought she was going to say something. All right, so fun facts before we start. So I put some things into context. In, in, are you hearing? Is everybody hearing? Awesome. So, what is autism? For those of you who would not know, what is autism and why is it important that we focus on autism? So, autism is a neurological and developmental difference that affects how some, not all, how some people interact, how they communicate, how they learn and behave. And it is also called a spectrum. So the internet would say that the ratio of children diagnosed with autism is 1 to 36. But if we have to put this in our St. Lucian context, from when we first started recording and our data collection, the first set of figures that we would have for now, from 2016, our figure was 61. Now, these figures were from or are from CDGC. However, when we got to the end of 2025, the CDGC recorded 460 cases of autism in St. Lucia. And it is important to note that this is not a true reflection of the actual autism figures in St. Lucia, because the CDGC is a center that deals with children from 0 to 5 years old. And I want you to just think for a little while. Think a little while of when you were older, of the people who were different, and the people who probably would have shook their heads, the people who did not like that contact, the people who got affected by loud noises. We thought they were different. We knew that something was wrong, but we never knew that maybe some of them were and are autistic. So, with our population, it is important for us to acknowledge that our numbers are a lot more than 460 when we consider the aged and older population. Okay, so I have set some context. So, audience, I would encourage you to ask your questions in the chat. At some point, we will come onto it. And with no further ado, we shall commence. This is focused on building autism-friendly transportation. Every ride matters. So my first question to the panel is, what are some common signs that a commuter is autistic? And it's free, of course, to anyone who would like to answer.
I can start. Let me just say this, that it is not always very reliable to identify autism in somebody by just looking at them one time.
You are correct.
Because autism is such a complex neurodevelopmental condition, and the way it is diagnosed and assessed is after careful evaluation of patterns and behaviors over a period of time. However, there are some outward behaviors of autism which are red flags. So one of them is sensory sensitivity and sensory overload. So autistic children have sensory sensitivities. They are sensitive to noise, to touch, to smell. So, our buses are crowded. Loud music, our bus drivers like playing loud music, possibly bright lights. When they see that, they may be overcome by the loud music, so they may hold their head like that, or they may not want to go into the bus. They may get agitated. They may have meltdown. They may be aggressive. They may have self-injurious behaviors like hitting their head or scratching and so on. So that is one of them. And another one is the adherence to routine. Autistic individuals love routine. It has to be structured. So they want to take the bus at the same time, at the same place. They want to go the same route. So if there is construction, and that happens with my son, when I drive him to school and I take a different route because of construction and I cannot pass on the road, he gets agitated. He doesn't understand why this is happening. So they have to sit the same place. I remember when I was bringing my son home for a few weeks ago to St. Lucia, and he likes the window seat in the plane, not realizing that he likes the window seat on the left side of the plane. So when I put him on the right, it was trouble. So he has to sit the same seat, take the bus the same place at the same time, same route. Another one is communication. That's another common behavior. Some autistic individuals are nonverbal, like one of my children. And you may also find that they may not understand what you are saying. The comprehension skills are still developing. So you may have to repeat yourself or say what you are saying in simpler languages. They also repeat a lot of phrases. I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. Um, what else? Oh, stimming. They have stimming behaviors. And what are stimming behaviors? We all have them actually. We all have them. Some of us that may bite our nails, some of us may shake our legs all the time, it doesn't stop. That's a stimming behavior. It's you can't help it. So it helps you to manage environmental stress. So you may find them flapping their hands or rocking back and forth, or tapping or doing this, like my son likes to do this to his head. And then finally, I would say, under another one, I mean, there are many more, but another one I would say is their focus on a particular activity. They are focused. So, like my son, when he enters a vehicle, a ride, he has to have his iPad and focus, nothing else but his iPad, and he's just focused on it. So, these are just some of the common behaviors.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. And of course, thank you for bringing a little more context into tonight's discussion. Very much appreciated. So let's see. this question, and I would love to hear from the other two panelists. What are some behaviors which might be misunderstood as being rude or non compliant, but that are actually related to autism? So, I mean, a bus driver is waiting, or a school bus driver is waiting, and then this child is autistic. He doesn't know. And in his mind, tima mai sala real hard you serve me say. Activate tima mai sala probably at real bus la. Something to that extent. What are those behaviors that the bus drivers need to know so they understand that this child is autistic, maybe autistic?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let me just make a short contribution based on that. It may be, sometimes the child is waiting and they're not, they're not giving any eye contact towards you. It's like you're trying to communicate with them, but it's like there is no eye contact. They basically avoiding you. And you may think that probably that child is just being rude or out of place, but then again, sometimes we come across so many persons on a daily basis, and with the society that we live in, we like to be respected, we like to, persons to acknowledge us, and it just might be just because we don't understand the individual, that we may think that you're probably talking to that person and they're not watching you, and the issue might be deeper than we think, because I know a lot of persons, like, when you're talking, you would like persons to give you eye contact or to look at you, that kind of thing. But this is one instance where I feel that, it may be miscommunication, misinterpretation of the other person. Also, in terms of when you're speaking to the person, you know, the language you use, the way you direct your questions towards that person, and probably the way they respond to your question as well. They may not respond, or they may just respond by probably body language, or that kind of thing. So for now, these are the two things I can probably pinpoint in terms of something that might see that are disrespectful behaviors and stuff like that with persons in autism. I will let somebody else comment, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Justin. I see Mr. Dylan Pierre. Your hand is up.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
I would suggest that, well, not suggest, I think that, sometimes children in particular, they might have a certain outburst or like tantrums relating to certain routine changes. So, for example, if a new bus driver were to come and then the child is accustomed to a certain bus driver, what the new bus driver giving them a simple direction, like board the bus or something like that, they might have a certain outburst. I think also that to an extent, disassociation. Some persons with autism, they tend to disassociate, like Madam was saying earlier. Children being hyper-focused, or persons with autism being hyper-focused, they may not pick up that you're trying to give them certain directions. So they may come off as, like Mr. Justin was saying, rude or something like that, but that's not actually the situation. They're just lost in their head. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pierre. Miss Farmer, floor is yours.
Good night.
Okay.
Everything that has been said is pretty much what it is. I did want to touch on just a couple things. The eye contact, hands down. My son in particular, he does not look at you. He will hear what you're saying, and you'll think that he's ignoring you. Um, so sometimes it takes a little longer for the person with autism to recognize what you're actually saying to them. It takes a while for them to process the words that you say in the way that you say it. You also have to be kind of very direct, um, be exact with what you're saying, because sometimes you use a couple words in there and they look at you like, what are you saying? They don't understand what you're trying to bring across. Um, Sometimes they don't want to get off the vehicle because they're enjoying the ride. And I'm speaking particularly about my son. He does not want to get off the vehicle. Like, I don't know, it's very calming for him to take the ride. So I mean, most of the bus drivers in my area, I think they kind of have an idea that he's different because he does not want to get off the bus. And luckily, everyone around is very patient and very understanding, and he's a child after all. So they give him a little time. So the other thing is to give a little bit of time. If you recognize those signs in a person, give them a little bit of time because sometimes they're just trying to process either what you're seeing or the change, the transition in what's happening. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thomas. Now, can you imagine this? I'm an educator. I've been working with kids for a very long time, and you all are talking, and this one little boy just came to mind. When we spoke about the avoidance of eye contact, the changes to the routine, and I just wrote his name down because there's a conversation that I need to have with his class teacher and, of course, with his parents. So, again, learning takes place everywhere. So I thank this audience for this evening. Now, we mentioned, Dr. Samuel started, I mean, the autistic child would have the issues with the loud noise. You know our same missions bus drivers, you must have that bass, so it's a boom, boom, boom. The loud noises, the bright lights, etc. Um, let's see. What are some small changes that you could suggest the drivers can make to cater to the autistic passengers?
Could you say that again, Ms. James? And that's for
Okay.
the panelists, right? Ms. James, you'll
Yes.
get, okay. Could you say that again? You were a little soft when you said that.
Okay, I think you have me back full volume. I had to
Okay,
put my
yes, that's a lot
headphones in.
better.
I'm
Thank you
so
so
sorry.
much.
My dogs were getting on in the back. I did not want to disturb. So yes, so I'm saying, based on what Dr. Samuel and the other panelists would have mentioned, um, autistic children, autistic people, the loud noises, the bright lights. That is commonplace for St. Lucian drivers to have these vehicles, and the base is heavy, right? So, based on your experience, what are some small changes that the bus drivers can make to cater for autistic passengers?
Okay, I got you. So, all
Yes.
right. So we know about the strict adherence to routine for the autistic individuals. So one thing a bus driver can do is to be on time. So say you have to pick them up at 7 o'clock or be by this particular place at 7 o'clock. Try to be there by 7 and be consistent. And I know this is hard to do, but use the same route as far as possible. Now, that might be hard with the traffic congestion, especially if you're going up north, as far
Yes.
as possible. And if that happens and you have to change the route, because speak to the autistic individual about that. Prepare them.
Okay.
I have to do that with my child, with my children. Yes, I know we're supposed to be passing there, but mommy has to pass this way because such and such. And you speak to them in a very clear and simple way, but prepare them. So give advance warning. Another big one, reduce the loud music. That boom, 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 boom is not even good for neurotypical individuals.
No, it's
Forget
not.
for the autistic children. Man, y'all are busting our eardrums, may you say? I mean, so reduce the
Yeah.
loud music. So I don't think I have to say more about that. Another one is have a sensory kit. So as I said, autistic individuals suffer from sensory overload when they come across with the hustle and bustle, the crowded buses or the loud noises or the bright lights or the strong smells, or even touch. Have a sensory kit in your vehicle that the autistic person can use when they are overwhelmed. And what can that sensory kit contain? It can contain a stress ball, something that they can squeeze that can give them some comfort. You can have some earplugs, and these things are not expensive. So you can put the earplugs, and that drowns out. And the thing is, autistic individuals, they're not hearing the music, they hear everything. They hear the talking, they hear the shuffle of the feet, they're hearing when you press gas or when you press brakes, any little thing, they hear stomachs rumbling. All of these noises are there. So you can have earplugs in that sensory kit. You can also have sunglasses. So if it gets too bright, somehow in the vehicle, you can have these cheap sunglasses that they can put. You can have some little fidget toys, sensory toys that they can play with. These things are not expensive. And so you can hand them to the autistic individual, and that helps them to stay calm. That reduces stress and reduces anxiety. Um, Use clear and simple communication. Do not shout. You don't have to shout up the autistic individuals, especially if they're nonverbal. No need to do that. And if they're nonverbal, you can still speak to them. They understand. They have a sixth sense. They do understand. But your communication to them must be clear. Do not use idioms when they come into the vehicle. Say things like, "You're looking so sad. You look as if you have the world on your shoulders." They will actually picture the world on their shoulders. Or tell them, "Wow, if it's raining cats and dogs." Believe you, they will think there are cats and dogs raining from the sky. So be very clear, no idiom, simple language, two-step directions, not more than that. Give extra time. Like Miss Primus says, they take a little time to process information. Give them time to think, time to respond, time to board, time to sit. Give them time and be patient. Big one. Be
Yes, very
patient.
important.
And the last thing I think that will speak volumes for all taxi drivers and bus drivers, if you can have a sign and put in your bus something like,
Yes.
"I choose autism acceptance," or "I choose to promote inclusion." That will help the autistic individual and their families feel welcome and feel that they are included and that they are okay.
Oh, beautifully said, Doc. Beautifully said. I particularly like the kind of mobile sensory kit. I think that is definitely going to go a long way in terms of the duration of the ride that the child or the person is there for. And of course, this to let them know that that ride is autism friendly, that the acceptance is there. This is definitely going to go a long way in terms of how we do what we do and how we make the family and the individual feel accepted. So, Mr. Pierre, if you can you please ask your question in the chat if you do not mind. Um, can you suggest some simple phrases or some simple approaches which may reduce anxiety? So you've just picked up a passenger, or you're on the bus comes to a stop, you're picking up a passenger, and you notice a meltdown. Can you suggest some simple approaches that may help reduce anxiety to that autistic passenger who's having a meltdown? And how would you, what, if you had to do a two-step, a three-step, so that a bus driver or a taxi operator understands, how would you talk him into calming an autistic person who's having a meltdown? Yes.
I think in the first instance, I think you need to calm yourself down in the first instance. Like I think that process would start with you, because you would have to understand that you're faced with a situation, and you yourself needs to take stock of all the evidence in front of you, and that you ensure that you use the right approach, because this may be new to you. This situation may be new to you as well. You don't know what spectrum of autism the person has. So you need to calm yourself down first, take stock, because if you're not calm, there is no way you can help out somebody else, because if you don't know what you're facing. Okay, so you need to calm, tell yourself it's going to be okay, tell yourself that you're going to handle this in the best way possible, because you may not have the training for it, but you're going to use the little knowledge that you know, all right, to ensure that this person gets, well, you attend to that situation to the best of your ability. I think when you have done that, your approach should be a gentle approach, one that is comforting, one that is calming, um, and, and tell the individual that it's going to be okay, that everything is going to be okay. This is, for a short space of time, it is temporary, and that you are here to help them and to provide assistance to them in the best way you can. So you use that calm voice, where they feel comfortable with you. You have to get them to feel comfortable with you, and I think that is one way that you can initiate the conversation or initiate the approach as to how best you can deal with this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. So it starts with self. You cannot calm somebody if you are not calm yourself. Do any of the panelists have a contribution to make towards that question? Yes, Ms. Primus.
Yes, Mr. Justin touched on some good stuff there. Um, I wrote some stuff down. So when my son gets agitated, I try to talk to him. A lot of the time, talking doesn't work, but you have to try, everything in steps to see what the person with autism is actually responding to, and then you can go from there. So I talk to him, like I tell him things like we have plenty of time. I tell him you're safe. I told him it's okay. I know you're upset. Um, it's going to get better. What do you need? Can you tell me what you need? How can I help you? And if we're trying to get somewhere, I tell him we're almost there. We're almost there. Just keep, reassuring him along the way. Um, and I try, to remove myself from the situation as the person who's irritated, because it can be very overwhelming dealing with a person with autism. They can really, they can drive you up the wall because they're trying to communicate with you, you're not getting it. You're trying to communicate with them, they might not be getting it. And, both people frustrated, it's not gonna help. So you have to kind of small up yourself, as they say, and give the person time to process their emotions because they have very big emotions. Like something that might seem like just a tiny thing for you is like the world is ending. And that's another phrase that I use for him. I said, Lyle, the world is not ending. It's okay. I know he might not be able to process it, but I cannot say what he can and cannot process because only he knows in his head what he understands. So I just try to guide him along, um, guide him along to a calming place, um, through talking. Some persons would prefer a squeeze, depending on their sensory, depending on what they receive sensory wise. So sometimes they might want to be touched. Some people don't want to be touched. Um, some people they may use their tablet to communicate and say what's wrong. Others cannot communicate. So it just depends on the person with autism that you're dealing with. So I wanted to touch on that as well. Um, I try to avoid as much dismissive um, dismissive conversations. Things like, you overreacting, don't do that. You overreacting, it's fine. Like, like just hammering away at being dismissive of whatever the issue is. I mostly just try to say, like, what do you need? Because it's clear that they're trying to communicate something to you. You just cannot process with each other what you're trying to say.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parmas.
Can I say
So,
something else?
yes,
Can I
sure,
say
Mr.
something else?
Yes, go ahead.
And we have to understand that sometimes, you might be driving. We were saying that, we're not only speaking about when you're stationary or when you're waiting for the passenger, but you might be driving and the child has his tantrums. So you just may, have to stop, pull up on the side of the road, um, to allow the child some time, or to allow yourself some time as well to take stock of what is happening as well, because it might be something that trigger, might be your driving, might be the potholes, might be the twist and turn. It might be a longer route or somewhere different that the child is going to. So you have to stop sometimes and let them know that you know we're going somewhere different, or it's a longer route, or just for them to calm down. And if you have the kids, allow them to play I mean, we can say that our time is precious, but at the end of the day, we're trying to help, well, ourselves and the person with autism, go through the ordeal as well. And I feel that is not even wasting time, but it's a way of helping each other, because at the end of the day, we need each other as we go along.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. Dr. Samuel, I recognize you and your contribution. Yes.
I just add one thing. Both Mr. Justin, what you just said was so profound, as well as Ms. Primus. The other thing is a small point that I find to reduce anxiety, less words. I find talking too much
Talk.
can overwhelm an individual. Just use less words and more clarity. And I find like giving simple information with clear steps and sequence it. So things like I do that with my child. First, we sit here, then you play with the iPad. And sometimes I even give the pictures. Sit,
Okay.
iPad. First, you sit here, then you play with the iPad. Then we get off the bus. Things like that. So that can give them an idea so they can see it in their head. They can see the picture, and then that would help them to calm down.
So, Doc, since you have the mic, my next question, because you flowing right into the next question. How can we assist the non-verbal?
Wow.
So, yes,
Well,
that is
that's my
very,
child.
that's right.
That's my child. My son is nonverbal and he's 17. So I had to learn that. I
So,
had to
so you
learn
have a wealth of experience.
how to
Let's share.
communicate. The
Yes.
first thing, never assume that those children do not understand.
Okay.
Never assume that. They understand. It's almost as if, they do not have that speaking, that speech, but as if they have developed a sixth sense. Okay? So that's one thing. The other thing is that to assist a nonverbal commuter, pay attention to the nonverbal cues that they may give you, the signs of distress, the covering of the ears, the rubbing of their eyes, the hitting the head, these are the pointing, pulling, these are all cues. All of these behaviors are communication.
Yes.
They are saying something through those behaviors. So to assist them, use simple gestures, point, and as I said, they understand. So ask them, do you want to sit there? Do you want an iPad? You want the sunglasses? You want to sit by me in the front so that you can see outside better? Is it too hot and then you can show them, use your own cues, your own gestures to demonstrate. Sometimes you may have to overemphasize what you are doing, but they will understand. Find alternative ways to communicate to them. So other than that, you can speak to them, but also you can use gestures. If you know sign language beautifully, some of them do know sign language. Um, Another thing that you can do is offer choices to them.
Good one.
Do you want to sit in the front by me, or do you want to sit at the back? Do you want to sit by the window, or do you want to sit to the left of your mommy? Things like that. And you can point, which one do you want? So you give them the sensory kit, point, which one do you want? Point at them.
Yes.
Provide practical help to them so you can guide them to the door when they are ready to enter or exit. You can guide them to their seat. Provide them practical help to show them that even though they do not speak, that you are willing to help them, that you can and you want to understand them. Do not show them that you are scared of them, that you don't know what to do, that you're uncomfortable. They do
Yes.
not speak, but they are people and they
Yes.
feel. And as a matter of fact, I have found that autistic individuals who are nonverbal feel more. They can sense your tension. They can sense your fear. They can sense your aggression. They can sense that you don't know what to do. They can sense that you are pulling back. You want to be natural with them, the same way you are natural with the neurotypical people. Be yourself. Laugh with them. Don't be afraid because they will sense it. And that is when they will pull back and they will not be able to communicate with you in the way that they should and in the way that they want to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel. That is a lot of useful information. And as you're speaking it and demonstrating it, I really wish that we had more people on the panel because this would have been so important to them so that the change could have been almost immediate from tomorrow. We would have seen that action in place, coming from the bus drivers, coming from, because I mean, St. Lucian context, we like to joke. We joke about everything. And like you said, a non-verbal person's senses. So this definitely would be one of the things that the bus drivers would have to learn, to be empathetic and to stop with the jokes, because that person would be able to feed off of the environment, and that person would know that even if they can't communicate, but hey, something is said about me because I observe others laughing. So, thank you. Thank you so much. Panelists, do we have anything to add to Dr. Samuel's contribution? Okay, we all right? Okay, so Now, like I just mentioned, I wish we had more people on the panel so we could have started that immediately tomorrow. Question, very important. What training would you recommend for drivers to better understand autism? Because the change is almost needed immediately. The people are in the environment now. Mr. Justin would have alluded it. We have to treat people better. The one thing that we can do is to love, and love is a verb. It's demonstrated. So, how do we do that? How do we get our bus drivers to tell the autistic community, "Hey, you are different than me, but I see you, I hear you. I'm here to assist you." How do we? The floor is open.
You know what I would have loved, as you said, this James. Um, this here, what we're doing right now, is an exercise geared towards taxi drivers, and we don't see much persons. This
Yeah.
is one of the ways that we can get out there. All right. What we have, what I believe that we have to do right now. How do we make this information more receptive to those persons? How we can bring it to them? Because they always tell you that they're busy on the road. They don't have time to come in the classroom. They don't have, you know, I think the more important question is that how we can get that information out to them. Because we'd love to have a training, or, probably we can use billboards because they're always driving. Something that is visual, something that is, easy to tap into, to read, or something to that extent. You know, something. So we have to try to more like meet us halfway, because we can stay and say all of this, and we don't grab their attention. You know, I would feel that we have a lot of work to do. That's my personal view.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. Yeah, and then you are correct. What drives us? Their livelihood, the road, the vehicle. So they are busy. So time would be one of the most inhibiting factors, but they need to get this information. So how do we do this? I guess the question is being twisted. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Can I come in?
Um,
To be here.
Hi, Mr. Tobia. Go ahead. And after, I'm going to recognize Dr. Samuel. Good night,
Okay.
Mr. Tobia.
Yeah. Good night to all. Very interesting discussion tonight. And I hear we saying about the minibus drivers. I would like us to look at it more the transportation sector. That includes taxi drivers. And I think Mr. Justin, he, again tonight, sent out the links on one of the group that we are all in. It's kind of disappointing that we're not seeing many, not even at least the one executive member of the different transportation sectors to join in. Like you said, everybody talk about time, but we have one of the ways I think we can do is to write these, like the taxi associations, the minibus associations, the head of minibus, and give them an insight into HAPA again. Let them know, because they probably hear it, but they ignore it, and see whether we can have a one-on-one meeting with the executive of these places to kind of give them a bit of a highlight, proper understanding, and kind of hear what they have to say. From an airport taxi driver standpoint, also, I see a lot. We do see some autistic children coming, albeit they're from the US and the system is different. So there's a different approach altogether. When they come in, the parents have a good understanding of how to deal with them. On In our local environment, I see where parents can get very annoyed quickly, and albeit you have no choice because of the way people look at their children. They call them Odell, Abubu, all sorts of names altogether, and some drivers would be laughing. Sometimes they don't understand the way the children, what's really happening. Some people, our culture, for a lot of them, the culture is that, well, the Monday that way, it's a put off, and I think it's only now that with HAPA and the push from other people before are beginning to the coverage, the news media is beginning to really push for the autistic children of this country. So for me, one of the approaches we can use is to write officially to all these the transportation sector, and letting them, having them have a discussion with them, because we can have tags and say, okay, we give them flyers, okay, autistic friendly bus. Some things where the drivers are really the ones who say to the people, "Hey, listen, a child comes in that way. Can you, just like they did in the US, get okay? Just because of this child, can you give them that sit, instead of move to the back of it? I know sometimes it's difficult because our people figure out that's where they feel comfortable. However, I think if we can start with some of these little things, I think we can get somewhere. Everything starts small and eventually can expand as time goes back. But we, like Mr. James said, Mr. Justin said, we have a lot of work to do, but it is not impossible to complete.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tobia, for that contribution. Dr. Samuel, over to you.
Okay, so the question that you asked is what training that
Yes.
can be provided to drivers to better understand autism. That is why HAPA is here. We are here to provide that training. Make use of us. Make use of what we are and what we can do. Like this. Yes, there are a few, we should have had more bus drivers and taxi drivers, but a ripple can create a wave.
You are correct. Again, autism is there.
So
Yeah.
those who are here, you do your part. You do your part in your own small corner and let this attract others. HAPA has also created 4 videos on autism. They are on YouTube and we will be creating more. So that could be something that can be shared with bus drivers and taxi drivers to learn more about autism and to know how you can interact with the autistic individuals. Because basically all we need, and I say we, I'm autistic, proudly autistic. All we need is love and respect and to be treated with dignity like we treat others. The other thing that I have learned about autism, if you want to know more about autism, speak to an autistic individual. That's the best way you can learn. The parents know, but the autistic individual knows, and especially the autistic individual can express themselves. The autistic individuals know exactly what we are going through and what we feel. Speak to the autistic individual. That is the best training you can ever get.
Excellent point. Thank you, Dr. Samuel. So we are wrapping up. I see that we have no questions in the chat. Final 2 questions and last question. I'm going to invite every panelist to give their thoughts. But the penultimate question, how can we make transportation more accessible to promote independence for autistic individuals? Can you suggest ways to make transportation more accessible to promote independence for autistic individuals? So earlier we would have stated that, you point to them, you would ask if they want to sit in the front or sit in the back, whether they would like the kit and that type of thing. But how do we get to that point where an autistic person feels totally independent with boarding the bus, plying a route, completing a route, and getting to their destination? Your hands are still up, Doc.
Oh, it's still up. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I meant to lower it. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Let me mute just in case one of the other one.
Panelists would like to speak. Yes. Ah, I see. Okay, so we have, okay. Mr. St. Helen, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I've just been listening. That's a very important question, and I think it's part of a broader national conversation in terms of awareness for bus drivers, promoting safety and awareness when transporting persons with autism to and from locations. So I think it has to do with a lot of sensitization and an awareness for us to be able to get to that point. I think that would be ideal that, autistic persons will be able to get on buses and be able to move to and fro to where they need to go. But I think that obviously that the awareness is needed, the sensitization will be needed, and it's part of a broader national conversation so that our bus drivers know how to do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. St. Helen. Panelists, anything from you?
For me, I would say you want to make the transportation more accessible so that the autistic person is independent. One of
Yes.
the things that you could use are pictures. Use pictures. Autistic individuals are visual. And that is one way that I, for example, taught my child to be potty trained and to bathe himself and to get up from bed in the morning and what he needs to do. Step-by-step photos. So, for example, I would have a picture when, say, you get up from bed, you wake up. Next one, say your prayers. Next one, open your door. And you'd think that it is really basic, but put it down. Show him opening the door, come downstairs, say good morning, and things like that. So you do the same thing for transportation. Okay? You'd catch the UK, so you'd walk to the bus, you will wait. Next picture could be the bus arrives, you walk to the bus. Next picture could be open the door. Next picture, these type of things. Go to your seat. Next one, sit down, Another thing, if possible, have a little hand-drawn map. Just draw it. We don't have these type of maps in St. Lucia, that you can use to go from place to place. But you can draw the map. So if you're going from, say, Vieux Fort to say Dennery, then you can draw the map and you can show the places that you are getting to before, and so that they will be looking out for it. That will enable them to, yes, I can see and I can do this. Make it visual. That's the most important thing. And whatever language that you put on the picture, if you have to put something on the picture, like go inside, make sure it's just simple and direct. Don't put any long phrases that they don't understand. Be direct. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. Ms. Primus, a contribution?
Delia Dr. Delia Samuel kind of touched on most of what I agree with. And so did everybody else. I believe that sensitization and raising awareness is at the forefront of that. I think that Sinusha has a very, very long way to go in terms of awareness. I find that it's gotten better. It has gotten better, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. The visual maps.
I love that.
I remember a couple weeks ago, I went to town with my two sons, and we stood by. I don't know if everybody knows what that is. There used to be a big clock by the waterfront. There used to be a giant clock on a tower. So we were standing there waiting, and there was this map on the wall. and it was like, this is where this is, that's where this is. And I was showing it to them and I'm like, this is really good. Like, this is a really good idea. And even if you go to places like New York, you'll see like there are maps that say you are here, you are here. Like, these things are really helpful for people that are trying to navigate. So I think that that would be a good idea to have some sort of map on the bus, showing the route if that's possible, because again, we have a very long way to go, but it's a very good idea in terms of just helping to make the ride a little more comfortable. Um, so yeah, cluster sensitization. Um, I'm not sure if persons can go over to the associations, to the bus stops, wherever it is, that they congregate, maybe on their lunch hour. Sometimes a bunch of persons sit down and like there's no real movement, there's no real traffic on that bus stop. Um, Someone can, do a quick run through of things, have a conversation, get some ideas, brainstorming, focus groups, things like that. Just sensitization on a whole. We have a lot of smart, innovative people in St. Lucia. So I think that lots of people may have ideas that we haven't heard. And I just think that getting the conversation started will bring people together a lot. The gentleman who spoke earlier, I really liked what he had to say, especially him saying, I expected to see more persons in here. But those of us who are in here, thank you so much for, for showing up, because showing up is part of the problem. People don't show up to support and understand. And when you show up and understand, you spread the word, and that's how we get the message out there. So I did want to say thank you to everybody who was able to come.
Okay, so thank you. So, what I'm hearing most important for this question is, and I like this, I'm not autistic, I'm a visual learner. So, anything with pictures, you give it to me. So, use pictures, use the maps, the sensitization as much as possible. That last point by Miss Primus, very, very important. We have that downtime when the bus drivers are just fooling around, playing dominoes, etc., etc. Maybe we go to them. We go to them and then we start speaking to them. But I'm also equally aware that HAPA has done a lot of work in terms of the videos that they have put out. So we now have to find a way to get these videos to them. Everybody likes WhatsApp, so we bombard, we blast them, we bombard their WhatsApp with this video, so they are forced, to listen. And they're very short, especially that Creole one is very short. So it's easy to pick up on, and that is how we begin to make a difference. So it is now 8:10. With the final question, I would just like to again highlight our panelists for this evening's discussion. Our theme was Every Ride Matters, and it was geared towards fostering that community of understanding, patience, and empathy. So we wanted to build autism-friendly transportation. The crowd, it's low, but we're focusing on the positive because we're getting the information out there. Some important people are among us, and we know that when we're done, they're going to spread the message. So that is a plus, like Dr. Samuel said. So every single one of us present this evening, I charge you with that responsibility. You find a bus driver and you tell them something about autism tomorrow. You tell them how to identify, just some quick telltales as to who an autistic individual is and what we can say to them. But you did justice to this conversation, and I would like to thank Dr. Delia Samuel, the founder of HAPA. And HAPA has been working very, very, very hard in St. Lucia to raise awareness for autism. And we close this month with a very high note, on a very high note, with a lot of sensitization, more than I have seen in years on autism. So we thank Dr. Delia Samuel for her contribution. She still has one more to make. We thank Mr. Lester Justin, teacher with experience with special education and also certified taxi driver. Dr. Samuel also is autistic, has the autistic children, so she has this real life experience right there, and she has shared from that experience with us. And Miss Primus, of course, raising her two lovely boys. So thank you very much, panelists, for being here. I pose my last question to you. We're pretending that they hear. This is being recorded. They will hear. So this is the final question. What message would you like to leave with every driver from this evening's discussion about autism? I hand over to you.
Yes, I will. I will go first. I have always said that everyone is special. We treat everyone equally, not because someone has a disability, that we should treat them any different. That we should treat someone else who is quite able. Everyone has a different way of learning, and we are the ones to understand how these persons learn. And sometimes we have to adapt, and that is not an issue. But putting ourselves out there and putting ourselves in a person's shoe as well would probably make us understand, or some sort of understand, what that person is going through. And I think that would help us in the long run to create an awareness, be more sensitive towards those persons, and then we can get that word out there that persons are more caring, more loving, more friendly towards those persons, accept them, because after all, we're all humans. They're humans as well, and we don't want them to be treated any different from any other person. And well, that's my contribution tonight to the discussion. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Justin.
Okay, I could go next.
Yes, Dr. Samuel, thank you.
Drivers, be kind, be respectful. A calm voice, a clear word, a little patience can turn a difficult ride into a beautiful one. Be the kind of driver who makes space for people like us. Let your vehicle be the one that people run to, because that is the vehicle where they feel safe, where they feel understood, where they feel that they are not rushed, where we feel that we are not burdens, where we are not made to feel that something is wrong with us. The bus or the car where we are feel loved. And I wrote something down so that I could remember. For some commuters or for some passengers, getting on a bus or on a car is an act of courage. I'm telling you, because of the loud music, it is an act of courage. The way that the drivers respond, the way that you respond can decide whether they will try again tomorrow, whether they will come on your bus again tomorrow. So it's all up
Well,
to
thank you, Doctor. Ms. Primus, any contribution, final words?
Um, I did want to share a little experience that I had yesterday. Yesterday I was taking my son to therapy. Um, and this bus pulled up on the side of the road, and I'm like, what is this man doing? What is he doing? Because I'm like a mother cat. I'm protecting my child on the road. So I see the bus, and so I walk up to it very slowly, and he lowered the window and he said, "Hi, where are you going?" I said, the Child Development Center in Locklear. He's like, "Oh, let's go. I'll drop you off." And that was like a very strange experience because you don't just get a bus driver stopping and like, can I give you a ride? So anyway, we got on the bus and he was asking me, um, do you pay for those services that your child has to do or whatever? And I said to him, well, yeah, you pay, but then, if you're not able to afford it, they still tell you to bring in your child so that they still get the help that they need. And I was having a really, really tough morning with my son, getting him to therapy, getting him to leave the house. Oh my God. It was not working out. And just that ride helped to calm me, just speaking to him about it and explaining certain things to him. And then, I was calm. So that helped me to calm my child down because then it put me in a calmer mindset. So I did want to say that there are some really nice bus drivers out there. That's not my only experience. Because as I mentioned earlier, we would get on the bus and the bus drivers know that Lyle doesn't want to come down the bus. He wants to stay on the bus. So there are some very nice bus drivers. They're very understanding. Like they will see and they will recognize. They'll not know exactly what's wrong, but they will know that, this person is different. Um, so I really believe that if, we're able to get the word out to them, they have more understanding and therefore they will be able to, just help make the ride a little easier. Because they're human beings just like everybody else. They have issues just like everybody else. But some of them are very, very kind, very understanding. So I did want to say that. Um, Even though we're saying, bus drivers, we want them to be kind. We also want them to know that, we appreciate the ones that are kind and the ones that do, give an extra hand or lend a little extra time for, the child to come down the bus. So I did want to say that.
Thank you very much. And it's my turn to summarize. We've come to the end of our panel discussion. A very, very lovely discussion. Excellent points brought out from our panelists. I do not know what type of training, and I know what training Dr. Samuel has, yeah? But Mr. Justin and Miss Primus, A plus, your contributions were perfect. And I do not know if you're reading my mind, Miss Primus, but to summarize, I wanted to just take us back to the basic fact that we're here on this earth, and we were given this one guidebook by which we have to go by. And for me, that guidebook is the Bible. How we interact with each other, how we treat each other. And I'm drawn to 1 Corinthians 13:13. And it says, and now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest is love. So, Ms. Primus, your example tells us that there is hope because you cited the examples of those bus drivers who are extraordinarily kind. Our discussion this evening is something that should propel us to keep the faith, because it is discussions like this that is going to change the climate and change how people with autism are received by all of society. And if we, 15 of us, and that is important, if the 15 of us continue to spread the love for autism that we just did for the hour and 20 minutes, then we are on the right step to make a difference in the lives of people with autism. So we know that we have a mandate. From tomorrow, we find a bus driver. And we are going to be direct, clear, concise. You tell them a couple of facts about autism. We're going to start that awareness now, and we do not stop until the conversation changes, until the climate changes, and until we see that people with autism are treated in the very same manner as an ordinary person is. And if you are asked the why, leave them with this question. Are people with autism not a friend and a brother as well? Just leave them with this and have them think, because they feel. The blood is red, they experience. It is just that they are unable to express themselves in the manner that the ordinary person can. I note that there are no questions in the chat. I thank you all for joining us this evening. And again, Dr. Samuel, as an ordinary citizen, I would like to congratulate you and the organization for the wonderful job that you are doing in raising awareness for the autistic community in St. Lucia. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. James. And
You are.
we will continue.
Yes, we shall. Have a good evening, everyone.